Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Socialers Podcast. I'm Jason Yormark.
And I'm Joanna. Nailed it.
A little bit better. I don't think they'll have to edit that one. I think that was good enough. Oh, for those of you listening, Joanna was having some technical difficulties, so she's coming down from her frustration mountain.
I have anger issues, I swear.
How do they manifest themselves?
Like, it comes on so fast. Like, if something's not working for me, I take it to the extreme. I just said I wanted to smash my laptop up against a brick wall. Like, I want it to hurt.
So you don't take it out on living creatures, just inanimate objects.
But I just get like this fire inside of me. I feel fine now. It's working and I've forgotten about it, but not a cute trait.
So I can relate. I had the worst temper growing up. I think you don't stop having it. You just learn how to manage it.
That really shocks me. You manage it very well.
I know. Oh, I know. It's
because even when you're angry, you just say, "I'm so angry." Like, that's, to me, your anger.
Well, that's the job.
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, I guess with you I could, but definitely not with our team. Like that's part of like you got to kind of keep that. But I don't know that. I can't think of it. And I certainly there's things that have happened with socialistics that have made me angry. Yeah, I think so. But I mean, when you get older, you just chill out. I mean, things that used to bother you just don't bother you anymore. And you
tell that to my old neighbors. That does not track in this neighborhood.
Well, I guess not everybody, but for me, I have calmed down. Sometimes you have to poke me to see if I even have a pulse at this point. So, especially when I seem to be waking up at 3 a.m. every friggin' day lately.
Same.
Which now by about this time is when that starts to hit me. So I'm really trying to like bring
the energy. But that's why I wanted to do this earlier, because I felt myself fading too. Jason and I are in this weird cycle synced thing where we'll both jump on Slack or message someone at 3 a.m.
I mean,
we're like, hey, you're up.
You just wake up at 3 and then my brain starts firing and it's like, well, what am I getting? I mean, I should just get up. But, if it happens at like 4:35, I'll just get up.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's close enough to the day starting. But when it's like happens at like 2:30 or 3,
that's such a rough one. 2:30 is my like the worst nightmare. And I woke up at 2:50 today.
I just hope that I'm like, okay, I'm going to really try hard to go back to sleep. And it doesn't happen. I'm like, I should just get up.
The way I see it is like, if I don't get up, I probably won't go back to sleep. I'll waste time on my phone and then I'll have to get up and work and I'll be extremely cranky all day. So I'd rather just work now and then sleep when I'm tired later in the day.
Yeah. Often if that happens a couple days in a row, I just get so friggin' tired that eventually I sleep through the night. So crossed fingers that's this evening. I've been trying these melatonin pills, these chewables. They're called 2 a.m. melatonin or something like that. They're designed to take, like in that situation, like if you get up in the middle of the night and you want to fall, but you're supposed to take one of them. I took 2. So I tried this.
Reckless. 2 melatonin pills? Jason, this is a PG podcast.
I have to take double of everything. I have 2 livers. My tequila situation. It's the same thing with medicine. I take 2 of them and it didn't really work, but I started to feel weird. Like, it's just like I'm tired, but I can't fall asleep. And then the next day I was just like a wreck. The pills are supposed to only help you fall back asleep and then wear off by like early morning. But I don't know. I got a bad batch.
When I woke up at 3 a.m., my brain, I instantly got anxiety about we're both, Hayden and I are visiting family in a couple months. And so we have to get a babysitter for Archie, our dog. And it was instantly giving me anxiety. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I haven't looked into this. This is only 2 months away. I need to do this. And so I said something to Hayden, who was also awake. I said, can we talk about this? And he goes, no, not right now. And I was like, okay, shut down. All right. He said something like, you need to get a middle of the night journal to just like write out your thoughts. And I was like, no, I'd much rather panic about them in silence. Thank you.
Oh, I would love to just turn around and snuggle with the wife. I'm sure that would help me go back to sleep, but I cannot mess with her. Like, she has a hard time getting and falling asleep. So once she's down, like I gotta
Don't
leave her
touch
alone.
her.
'Cause
Don't look at her.
if I even go anywhere near her side of the bed and it wakes her up, she's not going to be thrilled with me.
I can
So
see
I'm
her
like,
having like a spidey sense for hot breath.
oh, anything. I literally like if anything will wake her up. She's just a very light sleeper. So I just have to like sit there and hope that like my screen light won't wake her up, which sometimes it does. Cause she's like, I have thin eyelids. I can see your screen. I'm like, God, what am I supposed to do?
Have you ever played a video at not even full volume, just even a couple decibels too loud? Have you ever done that in the middle of the night?
I don't. So I have a pillow speaker. So for this reason, because I have to listen to like sports radio to go to sleep, and literally I'm asleep in like 2 minutes. So I don't know. It's silly. It's like a blanket for me, like your cozy blanket. Like you need this thing to like trigger your sleep. But it's in my pillow, so she can't hear it, and I can. I turn it on every single night. But sometimes, and it's connected by Bluetooth, but every once in a while, if I wake up in the middle of the night, I forget that sometimes it disconnects, and I'll play something, and then the video will play it, and then I'm like, oh shit,
ouch,
she's gonna file divorce papers tomorrow. Yeah. So needless to say, I stay away from audio anytime she's asleep. It is what it is. So
anywho's
anywho,
segue into
our topic for this week.
You can now work in your sleep because of AI.
That's true. Nice segue. So I wanted to talk about AI this week. So we're moving away from our regularly scheduled schedule to talk about AI and I think we're going to push this up. Maybe we'll push this episode sooner, but either way, regardless of when you're hearing this, the whole big thing that's going on right now is there's this release of what's called ChatGPT by ChatGPT.
What does GPT stand for?
I just saw it. It's some technical term. I don't remember.
I have it here. I just wanted to see if you knew.
Do you? I'll tell the people what it stands for.
Generative pre-trained transformer.
Whatever.
That's crazy. Like it's not intuitive, you know?
No. Well, I don't think they care right now. So anyway, it's basically an AI that's in beta, that's free, launched by OpenAI, which is this big kind of growing company that develops AI technology. They also released that DALL-E, DALL-E, which is this AI for like making images. Like you can type in like, make a picture of a dude walking in the desert with an ice cream cone. Like it's crazy, and it'll make it.
Any relation to the Pixar movie WALL-E?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all. Although that future is probably likely for us too, for those of you that have seen it. No, but it's related because the robots are coming to take over the world.
I saw my first drone yesterday delivering a package.
From Amazon?
I don't know. I wasn't that close, but I saw it crossing the street. It was crossing the street.
What do you mean?
A busy street. Like it went on the crosswalk when it was allowed to cross the street.
A drone or a little like buggy thing?
Oh, sorry. A buggy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Those are in test phase right now.
Interchangeable in my head.
I don't get those things. I don't understand those things. How's that going to work? Seriously, I mean, first of all, how many packages can they carry? How far can they go? Like, it's such a weird thing.
Also, how do you not just like, how do they police not people taking more than one package, more than their package?
I don't get it. I don't get it. But what I do get, reeling it back in, is this AI shit that is just ridiculous. So if you're listening to this and you have not tried it, you got to go check it out immediately. It's called, again, GPT. Search for OpenAI. That's the company. You'll find it. It's free, and you just can type in anything. I playing around with it. Like I said, write a blog post about blah 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 blah. And
write my wedding vows. Really, blah blah blah.
it's good and like fiction. Like I've been wanting to do a screenplay. I'm like, write the first scene of this screenplay, and I gave it the direction, and it wrote. I'm like, what is happening here? Because it sounds way more natural language than anything I've seen so far. I've read stories about people using it like. Here's my height and weight, design a exercise and diet program for me to lose 20 pounds and blah, blah, and it'll just spit that all out. And it's just nuts. So it's crazy how good of a job it does. And as I was playing around with it, I was kind of like equally like intrigued and excited about what this kind of technology can do, but equally, whoa, how is this going to impact our business and what we do? And I know we've had a lot of back and forth with the team about what that looks like and what that means. But
so what are some of the pros? Like what do you see for social media for us?
Well, first off, it's not going to replace people. I don't think technology. I mean, to a certain it's going to replace some things, but not everything, right? Like that when I think about for those, so obviously how it impacts social media positively, I think it can help with kind of making things more efficient around like outlining things or starting the creative process, like trying to create like a hit list of ideas, maybe asking it like, hey, I need to create 10 social media posts for a gym e-commerce company or something like that. So it can just kind of start to kind of get the ball rolling.
It's like when, how many years ago, 15, 20 years ago, you had to print off directions to get somewhere.
Yeah, right.
You print off directions, and then all of a sudden there's GPS, and then they're in your car, and then they're on your phone, and it's like we forget so easily that there was a time that you had to print off directions and follow that, and it makes life easier, but it doesn't, disrupt too much.
No, I mean, I think it'd be naive though to say that it's not going to change some things. I think that it really depends on the complexity of any given task or strategy that's involved. Like if you're just a small, like here's where it can probably be an incredible tool. And this is a gap filler, I think. Before Socialistics, I ran an agency called Studio 9 like 7-8 years ago, and it was different in the sense that I was working with much smaller businesses that could really only afford like $500 to $1,000 a month tops for their social media or marketing, which is not a lot. Obviously, we don't cater to that those types of clients or customers anymore, and they have a really hard time finding people to hire to be able to do those things for them. That's actually decent stuff. Now, this is an example of that type of customer or client could get a tremendous amount of value out of a tool like this because they could use it to kind of create some of their copywriting for their social media where, it's not as heavy of a lift for them strategically. They're just looking to have a presence. They're not really seeing social so much as a lead driver as much as it's just maybe a lead validator. So just having a presence, being consistent. I could see a tool like that being able to kind of replace their need to like write it themselves.
For sure.
Now, if you're
I do think that it's going to be similar to the GPS. It's going to be like, oh my God, you write your own blog posts. Like it's going to be like you write your own content, you write your own website content. Like you won't need to rely on humans anymore for things like that.
I mean, I think it's going to change some, but not all. I think if you're servicing much larger clients, that have much more sophistication in what they're doing and they're trying to drive leads and sales through their social media efforts. And no, I mean, will these tools be in your like technology stack and will you use it as part of the process? Yeah, potentially.
But it's not going to be world-class, writing or anything like that. It's going to need that human interference there.
Yeah, you're still going to need to drive the strategy. It's still not going to automate kind of what you do on the paid side. There's still an element of visual elements that you create that
and it's just going to morph those roles, right? Like I would think if I were back to being a social media manager and this came out, it would be like, okay, well, what do I bring to the table that AI can't? The finesse, the tone, the specific tone of voice for the client, catching things that the computer might not, or, it's not perfect, right? If you generate something on AI now, it's not going to be perfect. I wrote a song about socialistics using AI. It's not perfect. It's nearly there.
It was not perfect.
It's almost a top 40 hit, but, it just needs my interference eventually. And then we're good to go. Grammy.
Yeah, it's interesting to play around with. I literally used, so on my personal website, personal blog, which I've admittedly kind of not done anything with. I'm like, you know what? I'm literally going to put up a blog post today straight from this. And I think I told it to write a blog post basically about Reddit and how it can increase your personal brand and reach or something like that. And it was good. You know, it wasn't super long, but I'm like, hey, it's something, but something's better than nothing. I'm going to put it up, and I'm kind of using it as a test to see, you know, if what I'm putting on there actually, you know, moves the needle at all in terms of traffic, and whether you can really, how much you can tell a difference between something that I've written from scratch versus something that originated from there. So it's a good playground for me to kind of play with it. But
well, I wonder if things are going to change in terms of like indexing, search engine indexing. So right now you follow SEO rules, right? But if AI can kind of do that in 10 seconds for an entire website, are they going to kind of alter the rules and change the algorithm to value that human input? You know, whatever takes more effort. Are they going to start to value that more highly?
Well, Google is scared shitless. So I read that what was it called? A red alert or a red flag, whatever terminology they use.
They hit the giant red panic button in the CEO's office.
You did, because now they're shaking in their boots a bit, because this could really, you know, undercut their business model. You know, up until now, you know, the most significant use of the internet is people going to Google and searching for things. You know, you type in a search query and you get pages of results, and you click on things to get the information that you want. Well, I can guarantee you, and I don't know what the timeline is, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, those people are going to look back and think that kind of behavior is archaic.
Yep.
Yeah, searching, like, think about it. You click, looking for this thing, or you're like, you tell this thing what you need or want, and it gives it gives it right to you, and you're not searching and scrolling through things.
And this kind of leads into a potential con of privacy. But let's say, and Google kind of starts to do this, it kind of understands what you're looking for based off your search history and fills in the blanks. But, you know, if AI is there and it kind of knows my habits, it knows what products I'm buying, things like that. And if I put in to the search bar, best dog food for my dog, you know, and it's like, oh, I know that your dog has an allergy to this, this. So
right.
It just kind of pulls up the results that are relevant to you.
And it's not nice. Google's, you know, they've been working on this. They've got their own version of it. They just haven't been as aggressive in terms of just putting it out there for free and letting people play around with it. Now that OpenAI has done this, you know, they've got a head start in terms of building some momentum around people thinking about a tool like this instead of a Google search. And then the real question, it isn't so much will Google have a version of it, or will their platform evolve to incorporate these things? Of course they will. The challenge is, how do we continue to be able to monetize what we do
with these
from what we've been doing with what we've been doing for so long? Because people are genuinely going to move towards the solution that is a better user experience, and it is an easier path to getting the information that they want. And the reality is, this is dramatically a better in both regards. And so they'll obviously have their version of it. I think they're just now in a panic mode, like, we better prioritize this and get this moving quick before we get passed up, which is crazy to think, because they have such a massive share of search volume right now.
Yeah. I think as it relates to social media, the path forward in my head is integrate this into the agency as soon as possible, right? Capitalize on everything that it has to offer. Don't ignore it and just try and think, okay, well, what makes us, you know, what sets us apart as like a people first agency? You know, we've got humans working on this thing. I would bring in as much AI as you can and still capitalize on the human element and say, you know, like, do as much as you can. I think we were talking yesterday about strategy. It's going to be more on focusing on strategy. And so people will have more time to focus on that and do really good strategic work for clients, and just use AI to do the the menial work, do the copywriting, find the imagery, talk to my audience.
Well, it's just like a garbage in, garbage out, right? Like if I'm not worried about like losing, and if you're an agency owner, you shouldn't really be worried about losing clients over anything like this, because the reality is you still have to give it the right direction. It still has to be managed. And at the end of the day, if a company is hiring an agency to take care of their social media, their digital marketing, they're not interested in doing the work, period, regardless of the volume of the work. I think what we're trying to do is get out in front of those questions, right? It's like when a client comes to us and say, well, hey, I saw this and I was playing around with it. I'm just kind of curious. Are you guys using it? Does this make your job easier? Will you be able to charge less for these? Like, those are the kinds of questions that you kind of have to be ready for. And that's, you want to get out in front of it. So I think that's what, we're planning on doing. Is like, okay, it's free right now. Let's play with it. Let's see where it can be valuable, and let's be thought leaders and push that out and proactively tell our clients and put content out that says, here's how we're using it. Here's what it can do. Here's what it doesn't do. Here's what, just real authentic perspective on, how this is going to impact, client agency relationships in the near and far future.
Yeah. I really like what you just said about the input. They don't want to do the work, right? And there's going to be people who are going to be experts at using AI technology and knowing how to give it the correct direction to get exactly what they want out of it, do it efficiently. It reminds me of ads, running ads for clients. It's like they have access to their ads manager. Could they easily do it? Could they easily fill in the blanks and launch a campaign? Yes. They hire us because they don't have the time and they don't have the expertise that it takes to navigate that tool. AI is just another tool that you can kind of build expertise in giving it directives. Understanding the limitations is going to be really important, because just like any tool in the wrong hands could probably do a lot of damage.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to continue to get better, I think. I've seen, people are using it to code things, I think that's even more interesting than the copywriting creative side of things. There's people that are like building like, Chrome extensions or these small little, coded developed projects that it can spit out. So if you don't code, like, it can kind of play that part, which is way over my head. Like, I've been sitting here like, man, I would love to, I've always wanted to build something like that, but I never had the means or the time to really kind of see it through. But this is really interesting of how it can play a part in that, around, giving people the ability to create technology solutions that maybe don't have a tremendous amount of, experience or depth in, hand programming or coding.
Yeah. And something that we haven't talked much about, I think because it's been around for a fair amount of time, is automated chat and community management that's automated. You can give your chat system a few instructions on how to respond, and then all of a sudden you kind of you peel back the layers of what needs to be done by humans. But I think this has limitations as well. Even if something can be extremely intelligent and really respond to the customer, like, I'm 27, so I'm not old, I don't think, right? Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, roughly.
Thanks. All right, that's it. End of podcast. No, just kidding. And when I call, like, for instance, a bank or a credit card company or, whatever, calling about a bill, I can't stand if I have to talk to a robot for more than 2 minutes. Get me to a person. I know how this works. I don't need directions to your plate. I need to talk to a person about this problem. So it's things like that too, right? That you can't replace that human to human interaction. All the time. I mean, obviously, computers and AI is going to get more and more intelligent, and a lot of those problems could be solved in time. But I do think there's always going to be people that prefer human first.
Yeah, I think if I were ever advising a company, look, this isn't a black and white issue. If you're a massive company that's dealing with thousands or hundreds of thousands of inquiries a day, there's no getting around, an AI chatbot system to kind of navigate a lot of things. But for small, like us, like, we used to have like a chat thing on our website that was manual and testing it, and both of them didn't make any sense, because we're not dealing with enough volume of inquiries to warrant that. I'd rather they just reach out and have a conversation with them. So if you're a business that is only dealing with, anywhere from 0 to 10, 15, 20, 25 types of things per day. Like I would always advise, like, use real people, because people are really going to want that sort of experience. And the companies that do that are going to end up with more of the business than those that are trying to automate everything. Because to your point, it's frustrating. It's like, I mean, unless you can get through something relatively quickly to get to somebody, it's nobody likes that. So,
do you want a quick trivia question?
Sure.
You're never going to get it. I'm sorry. It's just a really fun fact, and this is really just a segue so I can talk about it. In what year did artificial intelligence make its first appearance?
Its first appearance?
I may have phrased that wrong. It's how I interpreted the question. But when was it invented? I think that's what I Googled.
I'm not going to get the year right. Can I just guess a decade?
Sure.
The 1980s.
Wrong.
No?
It's crazy.
It's probably gonna be like the 50s or something.
It is the 50s. Woo!
The 50s?
The 50s. So It's called the Turing test. Alan Turing. I'm saying that right. He did this. He created this, like, I don't know if it was a computer program. I'm going to butcher this. Essentially, it was an experiment where one person was communicating to a computer and another human through a screen. So the person who was not aware of which one was a computer, which one was a person, was able to ask them both questions. And the computer was able to, I forget what word it was a fancy word for basically saying they didn't have to tell the truth, or they didn't have to abide by rules. So if you asked a complicated math question, the computer could get it wrong on purpose to throw off the person. And if you asked, are you a computer? The computer could say no. Things like that. Where robots become self-aware. No. But yeah, it was really, and the experiment kind of worked. Like, he proved that he could make artificial intelligence. He stumped a lot of the participants. Crazy, right?
This is old technology, I guess.
1951. Could you imagine? I could barely turn my computer on like 20 minutes ago, and someone in the 50s is making a
Why
computer
don't we have
do that.
flying cars yet? What's going on?
Oh,
Back to the
I
Future
was impressed.
predicted flying cars in 2015.
Do you really
We're not
want
even
flying
close.
cars? The amount of car accidents that I get in almost daily because of drivers around here being on their phones.
Man, I'll tell you what.
I don't want more real estate for them to use.
Movies really got that wrong. They, like, all those futuristic movies back in the 80s, 90s had us having, flying cars by now. And we are nowhere near that being a thing. The amount of energy and the logistics of it, we're probably still at least 100 years off, if not more, of that being like, a common thing.
When you first saw Back to the Future, aka your favorite movie, did you take it as like, oh my God, this is an accurate prediction?
Well, if we're being technical, you should have been referencing Back to the Future 2, which gets into the future. But
Back to the Future 1 doesn't go to the future?
No, it does not. Well, technically at the end of the movie they do, but that's where it ends. And then 2 picks up them going to the future, which at the time was 2015. I'm
iRobot. Doesn't iRobot also have a time frame that's like way too soon? Like, in the beginning it was like, this is 2032.
I thought you meant the vacuum, not the movie.
No, the movie iRobot with Will Smith. They're all very ambitious.
Yeah, they all do. That's why I love. I just saw a movie. I can't remember what it was. That's why I love movies that predict the future more realistically. That feel like when you're watching it, you can be like, yeah, that's literally what it's going to be like. It feels like a much more of a natural progression of technology, where as opposed to like another great example is, have you ever seen Demolition Man with Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes?
No.
I don't like this. Just I'm gonna use movie references, and you're like, no.
Yeah, we're from different decades.
I know, but it's such a classic.
Hey, at least we're from the same century.
True.
We have someone who works for us.
That movie's prediction of the future was pretty absurd. You know what one of the things was in that movie that they predicted? That there would be these fast food franchise wars and only one would remain. So in their future, the only fast food restaurant that was left was Taco Bell.
That was their prediction? Taco Bell?
But in the future, it becomes a much more elegant experience. So it's kind of weird.
If you could only have one fast food chain survive, which one would it be?
Well, I know Molly's answer to that would be McDonald's, hands down, just for their French fries.
I think mine would be McDonald's too. I'm trying to think. Okay, Wendy's. Do you have Wendy's up there?
I'd probably have to go just McDonald's, but not more so for breakfast than lunch because of their breakfast.
I don't know why you were so stern about that clarification. I thought you were going to be like, I only drink their drinks.
Well, my answer to that is based on I probably eaten a lifetime's worth of sausage egg McMuffins. That's like my thing. I love that. It's probably one of the better things there because they actually use real eggs for that. So, but for that reason, I'd probably pick that one. It's a lame answer, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'd pick McDonald's.
I want to say Popeyes, but
oh yeah,
I don't even have that many here.
I
love Louisiana-ish food.
I don't really eat fast food that often, so it's not really.
I'm kind of getting over it. I got some today because Molly's at the office, and I didn't enjoy it. And I'm like, I'm kind of getting over this. I want fresh things more.
Yeah.
So
other countries have higher standards for their fast food. I will say Australia's McDonald's. It is more expensive, but it's a slightly better quality.
Well, there you go. AI and fast food future predictions and wants and desires. There you go. That's an episode for you. So awesome. Well,
if you'd like to be a guest on this podcast, you can submit an application at socialers.com. If you'd like to join our 100% always free Slack community, you're able to join at socialers.com. You can do everything at socialers.com. Literally anything.
Everything. It can clean your home. It can raise your kids. I mean, it's just endless.
No guarantees.
We've got the AI plugged into it. It's insane. So
it is pretty crazy. So join, follow, give this podcast a review if you feel so led. If you feel so led in the 5-star direction.
I like that you're doing all the asks.
Yeah.
I feel so liberated from that responsibility.
You're welcome. It won't last.
All right.
You're on next week.
All right. Well, then I'm gonna let you close it out.
Oh, okay. Bye.
Bye.